Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to all the superstars all around the world. My name is Frank Salas, better known as the talented Mr. Salas. You are listening to an exclusive interview with Diana Mae Fernandez of Adults Mastermind. She's currently in London right now. Just left the Snap Happen International Snapchat Awards, where she was rubbing elbows with some really cool people. And today we're going to talk to you guys about how to design your lifestyle. But first and foremost, say what's up to the crowd, Diana.
Hi everyone. Thank you again, Frank, for having me here. It's always such a pleasure to be able to be serving your community, especially because we have communities from all over the world. So guys, thank you so much for tuning into this live. Thank you for tuning in to the replay, and we know that we're going to be providing a ton of value for you.
Awesome. So lifestyle design, when somebody says that to me, I used to think, oh, maybe they're just a scam artist, or they do MLM, or they're like one of those kind of people. And I really found out that lifestyle design, for me at least, really equates to finding your purpose and really living that and enabling that every single day. And you and I are currently on different parts of the world where we were less than a year ago. Our life's completely different in less than a year because we decided that we wanted to change our lives, change our lifestyles, and go from there. So before we go into your lifestyle design, what was your life before you designed your lifestyle? Paint that picture.
Ooh, that's a really good question, Frank. Thank you for asking that. So before I decided to have this freedom lifestyle that I designed, I was working at a 9-to-5, but the reality of it was more like a 7-to-7 because I was working on Wall Street. So I was in the corporate space, really demanding, and I was kind of going just through the motions of hustling and bustling. And I thought, okay, well, because I work for a really successful Wall Street firm, right, that this is it. This is the creme de la creme. This is what success looks like. But I was getting so burnt out. And the reality is that I was tired of building other people's dreams and helping them build wealth, right? And I wasn't even doing it for myself. So while I had a wealth of knowledge and incredible experiences being exposed to basically the 1% of America, it's just really, really tough when you see other people creating lifestyles based around of the things that they're excited and that they're passionate about. And I'm sitting here sort of in the background, just helping them make it happen. So I was like, okay, you know what? This time around next year or whatever, I really have to get it going and do so and do something for me, because I mean, our time in this life is limited. So I went for it.
That's what's up. And you know, what is went for it? What is go for it? What does that look like for you?
So, you know, oftentimes, Frank, and I know that you and I have also experienced this ourselves, is that people are resistant to change. So because we're conformed in societal norms, right? We limit ourselves to thinking outside of the box. We think that the creme de la creme, if you will, is just being having this sort of 6-figure income, or you know, just having some really cool benefits at work. And while all of that is great, you know, you're still really restricting yourself when it comes to designing a life that you want. Because nowadays, the reality is nowadays, people spend about, 70 to 80 hours a week in work. So it has to be something that you're excited about. And for a long, long time, I wasn't excited about it, but I was just going through the motions again, because for almost that like stamp of approval and that acceptance. Because even just think about this. I'm going to give you an example. You ready? When people post online, they're like, oh, I got a new job. There's like hundreds and hundreds of comments, and they're like, congratulations. And you know, when you got promoted and stuff like that, everyone's like rushing and flocking to it. And while that's a really, really amazing accomplishment, when you see other people, they're like, or on the flip side of it, someone saying, you know what, I'm quitting my 9-to-5. I am going to be part of the 1%, and I'm going to go and start my own business. You hear crickets. You hear absolute crickets. It's similar to you. It's like, well, what do they know about business? What do they know about entrepreneurship? You know, that's the wrong thing to go, because it's not guaranteed. So I think the one thing is just getting past that resistance of conforming.
I love it. So you know, there's many different ways to make a change in life. You could move locations. You could, you know, break up with a boyfriend, break up with a girlfriend. Even more severe, you could get divorced. You could, you know, do so many things to change your life, your situation. And the best thing is to really start a business. I really feel, because when you start with your finances, you can then have more options. You can really decide, do I want to live in this country or this country? You can decide, do I want to travel this way or do I want to travel that way? So if somebody right now, let's say they are in an office or in a job or in a business that maybe just takes a lot of their time, like you said, 70, 80 hours per week, and maybe they're doing okay, but you know what? They're not doing what they were meant to do, and they're not doing what makes them happy. What would you advise them? What would they first start to change to make that next level happen?
I just love all these fire questions that you're asking, Frank. It's always so spot on. Really, the one thing that I would change, the immediate thing is really their mindset, right? So the one thing that I always tell people is going back to their why. Why do you want to get out of the 9-to-5? Why do you want to work for yourself? Why do you want to have a say as to how much income you want to earn and not have this set income of like salaries or, you know, per hour? And when you can really, really hone in to your why, that why is always going to be bigger than the fears and the excuses that you're going to make when it comes to pursuing your dreams and your passions full on. So the first step for me is your why, right? And then really honing in as to what your vocation is. Oftentimes we just go into a job because it's just going to pay the bills. It's just going to pay the bills. And Frank, do you watch the show Suits? I don't watch TV anymore, but when I used to watch a lot of TV 3 years ago, I was really into this show Suits. And Harvey Specter, like the top hotshot lawyer in New York, he's like, you know, life is like this, but I like living it like this. And so from that moment, I was like, yeah, I've been living my life pretty mediocre, and I've just been going through the steps and not really checking in with myself. Is this really what I want to do? Am I just going through this because everyone else is doing it, right? It's never going to be easy to go the total opposite of what the crowd is doing. It's never going to be easy to sort of almost be like that black sheep, but it's always going to be worth it. So the first step is checking in with yourself and really understanding your why. Is this something that I want to be doing? If it's a clear-cut answer. If it's a yes, great, continue to do it. If it's a no, which a lot of times it's a no, you have to start starting. You got to start starting as to what it is that you really, really were intended to do.
That's great. You touched on a lot of key points that I hope people go back and listen to, just because there's a lot of mindset work that was done there. With you, you have something that you call non-negotiables, and that's something that is, you know, really engraved in my mind. When I think of Diana Mae Fernandez, I think of non-negotiables immediately, because you are just so strict with them. You're like, you know what? I'm taking time out of the day because that's part of my non-negotiables, and non-negotiables can change as your goals change for the moment, but overall, like, they're still pretty consistent. Talk to people about non-negotiables. What is that like?
Oh, I love that it's ingrained. And it's cool because I like seeing a lot of people start using non-negotiables. And I know I started to really use that word when I first started my coaching business, and it just really picked up like fire. So I'm really excited about. So guys, let me talk to you about non-negotiables. And people think that when you jump into entrepreneurship, I mean, I thought so too, right? I was like, okay, my non-negotiable is that I'm going to be on all these sales calls. I'm going to do this, this, and that. Well, all of those are really, really important. The way that I position my life now, because it's lifestyle design, is that I actually, what my priority is my self-care. So every single day I spend about 2 to 2.5 hours on self-care. So that's, you know, whether I'm going out to for a power walk, if I want to listen to meditations or motivational videos, or if I'm going to go out for to an art class. So so how I position my life is that I list all of the things that I want to do. So all of those self-care, because guys, I want you to understand this. If you are not taking care of you first, it is impossible. I mean it, it's impossible for you to take care of anyone else around you. And Frank and I, we're in the business of service. So we have to be able to serve ourselves and be served by other people before we can really share an influx of knowledge with you, right? So with that said, for me, I'm always going to put my non-negotiables of self-care first. So Like for instance, wherever I am locally, I won't take any phone calls unless it's super important, like this webinar with Frank Salas, because currently right now it's 9 a.m. I won't take any calls or do any work until 12 p.m. my time. So from 5:30 when I wake up in the morning until 12 p.m., that is a non-negotiable Diana Mae Fernandez me time, right? So I'm jumping on social media, I'm reaching out to my current clients, I'm doing a lot of self-care. And then when 12 o'clock hits, I'm like, okay, great. Let me work on other projects. Let me jump on sales calls. Let me do some filming or whatever it is, however it shifts. But every single day, I have to apply the non-negotiables. Have to. It's an absolute must.
And if somebody is saying, you know what, I like this concept of non-negotiables, I really see where this could bring value to my life, how would you suggest for them to find their, you know, is there a top 10? Is there a top 3? Is there a top 5? Where do they start? You know, walk us through.
Yeah. So for my non-negotiables, this is something, it's just 2. It's just 2. And I only focus on the next 24 hours when it comes to non-negotiables, because then when you're like, oh, I'm going to do this in the next 3-6 months, no one's really going to pursue that. So I always tell people, just listen, focus on the next 24 hours. So I have 2 non-negotiables of self-care and then 2 non-negotiables of business, right? And I put it on my calendar, which is attached to my phone and has all of these reminders. So every single day before I go to sleep at night, I look at my calendar. I'm like, okay, what are my 2 non-negotiables for personal tomorrow? What are my 2 non-negotiables for work? So by the end of the day, no matter what, my non-negotiables are going to be executed. So you have to look at, because look, we have a never-ending to-do list, right? When it comes to our personal stuff, when it comes to our professional stuff, but entrepreneurs know they're 2 of the same. So you need to be able to find all of those things and really prioritize what is going to be the most effective in helping you in your personal development and moving your business forward. So 2 non-negotiables every single day, and it can be something small. It can be something small, like one self-care thing for me is like, I'm gonna read 3 chapters of this new book, or I'm gonna listen to 20 minutes of this audiobook, right? It doesn't have to be anything where you're spending hours and hours, but something that's feeding your mind, because you have to feed your mind in order to continue to grow your business.
Absolutely. So much wonderful value right there. If you're somebody who's, you know, really looking to make a change in your life, the first thing you should do is really get your non-negotiables straight. After you get clear on where do you want to take it. And the cool thing about designing your life and your lifestyle is if you don't like it, you can just design another one. You can make a completely new one, like anytime you want. Diana was in New York City less than a year ago, and now she's in London for like the 2nd time. She's going back to London. I'm back in the Philippines for the 2nd time this year. This year for 2016, I have been traveling 70% of the year, where before I was 100% locked down to Austin, Texas, making a very comfortable living as a high-end luxury real estate agent with RE/MAX, and having a whole network of, you know, investor clients and friends and everything that, you know, a 20-something gentleman would have. I had all that, but it was like, I had to be here. I had to take this phone call. I had to do this. And for me, I was like, okay, my business demands a lot of me. By the way, at the time I had 6 businesses. And from those businesses, I had to just really take a step back and develop systems and processes about how to, you know, get somebody through, you know, the door to the cash register and have me still be sane. So talk to me about your operations. So like, you run a business online. What does that look like for you? What's behind the scenes like for you?
Oh, I love that. And Frank, for those that are watching this, keep in mind, Frank is a massive serial entrepreneur. So he knows a lot of the things when it comes to front to end, and all of the things that he is sharing with you and showing you, those are things that you really have to hone in and apply that in your business. I mean, immediately. So a lot of the behind the scenes, you know, and the reason why I said serial entrepreneur is because not only am I a business coach and doing things online, but I do a lot of offline events as well. So even though Frank and I have been friends for a year, him and I met for the first time in Las Vegas, right, this past August, and that conference was so phenomenal. So as a serial entrepreneur, it's impossible for you to do offline, online, and in addition to other projects, because I know Frank and I, you know, we have our hands dipped in a lot of things, right? So it's impossible for you to do it on your own. it's really, really integral for you to build a team around you, whether it's outsourcing or whether it's having people on site with you to really help build your brand, especially if you want to move your brand excessively and hit that global reach the way that Frank and I have. So for me, the one thing was in the very beginning is that I had to be extremely, extremely involved with every single aspect. But now, as I'm quickly growing, is that I have to outsource. I have a team of VAs around me. You know, I have an amazing publicist and a publisher that's helping me with my new book release. So it's just being able to vet and trust and also not just trust, but train and coach the right people around you so that they can really, really understand your vision.
Great answer. So Diana touched on a few things right there. First and foremost, you have to have a team, and what fuels teams is resources. You have to have resources. And as an entrepreneur, your job, your mission is to allocate those resources properly and effectively to be able to position your business, your brand, yourself to the most advantageous position to hit the marketplace. And if you're somebody who can figure that skill out, the business game is going to treat you very, very, very well. Now, a lot of people are saying, but I don't have the resources. Well, you know, Dee and I both live by the quote, it's not that you don't have the resources, is that you lack the resourcefulness and you lack the mental fortitude. You need to do some workout over here. You need to have conversations with Dee from Doll's Mastermind. So if somebody is hung up on the resource, because there's some people that like are just literally hung up. Like there's probably some people that are listening right now that couldn't afford a pizza on a Friday night because they wouldn't be able to buy groceries on Monday the next week. And if that's where you're at right now, you especially must pay attention to what Dee's about to drop.
Yes, exactly. And Frank, I think that's one of the things where you and I both really resonated on. It's not your lack of resources, but your lack of resourcefulness, and it's just your mindset around money, right? And for me, in all fairness, if you were to ask me 3 years ago, oh, well, hey, Diana, why don't you go travel around the world and, you know, build businesses and you're going to need, you know, X amount of money and build a team around you, I'd be like, no, like, I don't have money for that. And you have to look, when you think about the money that you have right now sitting in your account, right, that you have cash, liquid, you really, really have to evaluate who's really serving you. And this is important because you really get to know a person. If I were to take your phone right now, this is how I'm going to get to really know who is serving you or what you're serving, is because I could go in and I could look at, okay, your last recent Google searches, right? I'll look at your last recent Google searches. In addition to that, I can go in and see like your online bank account, and then you'll see all of the transactions that you made within the last 30 days. So when you're looking at your transactions, you're like, oh my gosh, did I actually really need to spend a couple $100 going out and partying when I just got my check? The thing is that people get their checks, right, on like a Friday night, and they splurge it immediately on bills instead of finding ways to turn that money into more money instead of investing it. They're like, okay, cool. If I have $4,000 that I got paid within this week, by the time Monday comes, they're already broke. And then they're struggling for the next 2 weeks when their check comes, right? And it's because you're not taking the cash flow that you do have and turning it or saving it. And that's always going to be a disadvantage to you guys, right? And look, this is coming from someone that's made that mistake for a number of years in my early 20s. And so from that, my mindset around money had to change. It had to change because if I was going to keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again, I was going to get the same results. And I didn't want to get the same results anymore. So again, if you feel that you are lacking money, believe me, there's such an abundance out there, and there's so many opportunities for you to be able to monetize off of everything and anything that you're passionate about. And Frank and I are just here to show you those systems and those strategies.
Great answer. One thing that you touched on was, you know, you have to figure out how to make money, make more money. And a lot of people right now, they just don't see the entire game, if you will, just because they're so stuck in maybe their place in California, maybe their place in Texas, where I'm from, maybe their place in New York, and they're just super connected to the globe or whatever, but they don't really leave their area. And if you make more than 30,000 US American dollars, you are in the top 0.0001% of wealthy human beings of the 8 billion people on the planet.
Wow.
And
wow.
If you either lease an apartment or if you rent or own a home, you now own real estate in the biggest game in town on the freaking planet. And now we're jumping into my world in real estate, and one of my favorite games, Monopoly, growing up. I love Monopoly because you could put houses on places, you could charge more, you know, I loved it. I love the concept. And when I'm here in the Philippines right now, 150% of my expenses are covered by passive income through real estate. Specifically now, I made a complete switch in my portfolio to Airbnb portfolios to really leverage the shared economy, get a premium. I'm getting 20% more on my average rentals than if I leased it through a regular marketplace. And I'm a realtor, so like I know all the benefits of doing that. So I've figured out how to do that to make my money make more money. And that did require some changes on my end. So there were some properties that I had that were great long-term rentals. They were horrible short-term rentals, and I had to liquidate my portfolio. And then I had to reinvest that cash and then put it into properties that were going to be great short-term rentals for me and my business. This is just one very specific passive income, and I promise you there's millions and millions and millions of those to be out there and to be had. So if somebody who's like saying, well, Frank, you're a real estate expert, Diana, you're a world-class, coach. I'm just a regular person, and I don't know if I can do this thing. What can I do? I'm looking for my one idea. What can you guide me to? I just want to follow this kind of blueprint. What would you say to somebody like that?
So here's the deal. And before I answer that, Frank, you hit on a lot of incredible things. You said the word passive income, and then you said reinvest. Okay, so let me just talk upon that finance aspect very quickly, and then I'll address the blueprint method. Okay, so the thing is that as one thing that I know is that about 92% just of Americans alone totally live outside of their means. They live 100% out of their means. So it's like, do you really need to live in a 4 or 5 bedroom home? No, that was your choice, right? Do you need to have all of these expensive cars? Absolutely not. Look, for me, I could have, the house on the hill and all of these things, right? But it's like, no, I choose to travel and save my money for investments, or I choose to invest in stocks, right? So there are multiple ways, and it's not splurging your cash, it's being smarter about it. And it's not just you. And the one thing that I love about Rich Dad Poor Dad, the book by Robert Kiyosaki, is you need to not work for money, but you have to make money work for you. And the examples that Frank just gave in terms of money working for him, there's a ton of ways to do that, not just in real estate, but a multitude of things. So now let's fast forward in terms of the blueprint. Anyone that's going to sit here and ask me, oh, this is what I want to do, X, Y, Z, I'm going to say stop. I can sit here and I can give you a blueprint and a mind map and a roadmap and the GPS to business, and I will hand it to you. Okay, I will hand it to you and I will customize it. But the reality is that if you do not have the business stamina, if you don't have that entrepreneur's mindset where you're grinding in, day out, and if you're expecting immediate results instantaneously, I'm going to tell you right now, this business isn't for you, because this is not an overnight success thing. So the blueprint, sure, I can hand that out to you, but the first thing has to start with your mindset. If you want to design a lifestyle that you really, really love, it has to start first with what's going on up here, right? Because that is the vital component of everything. So I'm going to sit here and ask you, why do you want to do it? It's always going to come back. You're going to hear me reiterate it. It's going to come back to that why. Why do you want to do it? Okay, great. If you have that business endurance, then you're really, really ready to take on entrepreneurship, because a lot of times people look at Frank and I and they're like, oh, you guys are overnight success. And Frank and I are like, well, we've been doing it for over a decade. What do you mean? It's not an overnight success. But I don't want you to be, taken aback, like, oh, it's going to take us years. No, it's not going to take you years. It's taken us years, and now we're infiltrating that knowledge to you so that it can be condensed in a faster time. So you have to leverage the people around you. The first thing that I'm going to tell you is you need to drop all of these anchors that are not willing to support you, because it's incredibly important for you to have a positive environment when you're building something, that's going to make a global impact. So you need to check your surroundings and make sure that those people are going to help lift you up, because if not, they've got to go. Baggage has to go.
Great tip. I gotta just, double stamp on that one. Yeah, the people who are not serving you right now, you don't have to like completely ignore them, but you do need to remove them from your life slowly. Like if you have somebody that's very close to you, slowly weed them out, slowly push them back to a further circle, and then watch your circle of people around you start to get higher quality. Definitely watch it start to get smaller, but then as it gets really small and it gets really potent, then watch it grow again. Then watch it be filled with like the right people. And the right people are gonna come at the right part. And I remember people used to tell me this my whole life, and I'm sure you've heard this, D, is like, oh, you're gonna be so successful. Oh, you're gonna be so successful. And like at the time we probably were successful to most people, but because we want more, we were just like, oh, but I want it now. Like, well, the right person's gonna come and meet you. You know what? Quite honestly, I started my business when I was 20 years old, and Diana Mae Fernandez is somebody that I should have met, that I needed in my life, maybe at least this version of her back then, and I wasn't ready for her at that age. Like I wasn't ready to hear what she had to say, and even better, I wasn't ready to receive what she had to give, because what we both have is we have gifts to the marketplace for sure, but to people. We seriously can make people's lives better. We can change lives. We can change the way you vacation. We can change the quality of toilet paper that you wipe your ass with, being straight up. Yeah. We can do that for you.
True.
So when we say, things like you can make money online or make money through stocks, like I have no idea about stocks. That's one skill that I want to get into. I need to, get some knowledge from my girl D on that. But that's one game that I don't even understand. And there's so much there, and there's so much in the real estate world that even just that alone could help us build a portfolio to last 5 lifetimes, 5 generations, whatever that may be. So I really want to just jump in there, D, and say, okay, look, okay, I'm kind of starting to see this. Okay, there's different ways to make money. Cool. But you know what? My dad didn't make money. You know what? My dad always used to say, if it wasn't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. That's a true statement. My dad would say that all the time. And I found myself saying that all the time. And guess what? I would have bad luck. Stuff wouldn't go my way. Then I had to like change that for me. I had to say, you know what? I have good luck all the time. And I literally have good luck all the time. Actually, I just got a call back from a radio station in Las Vegas as I was trying to promote the Growth Hacking Conference 6 weeks ago. They just now got back to me. And it's because I'm open to possibilities like that. Things like that keep happening to me. So talk to us about language, programming your brain. Talk to us about that.
Yes, and I love that. There's this concept that people say, faking it to make it. Guys, it's not faking it to make it. You need to speak whatever it is that you want into existence. Speaking it into existence. Okay, if you think that you are successful and you're exuding that in your personality and the way that you converse with people every day, yeah, absolutely, you're successful. People have different definitions of what success, of what value or what premium is, right? But you need to be able to define that fully for yourself. That is absolutely integral. So, it's important for you to really know what it is that you want, looking at people that you are inspired by, and taking those bits and pieces of inspiration and incorporating it and embodying that as to who you are, right? So every single day, look, everyone tells me, and I'm sure it's the same thing with you, Frank, like, oh my gosh, D, you're so inspiring, you're so motivated, you're always fired up, etc. And I get that, and I love that. And I always say this all the time, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So, and that's why I know that I was like massively attracted to Frank, because his vibe was just always up. And I don't really know a lot of people that can be up to par with me in that. So I was like, this is amazing. So yeah, I really believe that all of the people that I've been blessed to share this lifestyle with now is that I've been preparing my whole entire life for them. I just didn't know it. So, but I knew from a long time ago that I had to do whatever it took to find these people. I had to. So I had to reprogram my mind and just say, look, Diana, you're worthy of this. A lot of times, again, it goes back to that resistance that we're not worthy of it because we came from a broken home, or because we came from, you know, the ghetto, or because we came from the hood, that we're supposed to just stay exactly where we are because our surrounding environment is. No, that is you holding on to, that is you being chained onto your story that's not even serving you. Right? I know Frank and I share this concept where it's like, we don't want you to be a victim, we want you to be victorious. So yeah, of course I have bad days. I'm human, right? But I don't share those openly. I choose to see the beauty in everything, and I choose to see, when you really reframe your mind to just actively see the good in every situation, guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna see the good in every situation. When you tell yourself that, yes, I am going to you know, make this deal, I'm gonna make this sale, guess what happens? It's not that it's just gonna happen overnight. What I'm saying is that you're manifesting it. And you can manifest and speak things into existence. You just have to believe that you are 100% worthy of it. And oftentimes, people don't give themselves that permission. So I'm telling you today, anyone that's catching this replay, Frank and I are giving you that permission, because if you haven't given yourself that permission before, we're giving it to you right now, because you are absolutely deserving and worthy of designing a lifestyle that you love, 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 love. So I hope I answered that.
Absolutely. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Now, you know, okay, cool. I'm starting to talk more positive to myself. I'm starting to take some action. I'm starting to see some results. Hey, you know what? This stuff is working. Diana and Frank are, you know, right. We took their advice, and now we're starting to see success. Well, I don't have to tweet today, or I don't have to go to my office today, or I don't have to check my messages today, or I don't have to check my email. You know what? I ate good yesterday, so I'm not going to eat good today. Or I did yoga yesterday, so I don't have to do yoga today. Like, it's as human beings, we just naturally have those thoughts. That's a natural instinct. Like, you know what? We were successful yesterday. We can kind of ride on that today. How do you feel about that?
Well, just because I showered yesterday, does that mean that I don't have to shower today? Just because I was breathing yesterday, does that mean that I don't have to breathe today? No, if you want it, your business, you have to be so, so excited and fully laser focused on your business that you breathe it. You breathe it, right? And so when you even think about sustenance in your life, when you think about the daily necessities, right? Whether it's food, water, whatever those daily basic necessities are in your business, the daily necessities is showing up every single day and showing up like you mean it. Again, when you understand your why fully, all of your fears and your excuses are going to be completely eliminated. So it is also a non-negotiable for you to show up every single day. I mean, I tell clients all the time, they're like, oh, you know, I didn't jump on social media for a couple of days. I decided to take a break and so forth and all of these things. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? If you're not showing up every single day for your business, how do you expect your potential clients to believe in you? How do you expect your potential clients to trust in your business or be there for them if you're not even showing up for your business? Right? So you have to really understand, what is the message that I want to convey? And that message that you want to convey every single day is that I'm going to show up, and you have to show up like you mean it. It's just not an excuse.
That's a wonderful way to put that. Now let's take that journey a step further. Okay, so let's say you stay consistent, you stay committed, you start seeing success, and then in this business, specifically in online marketing, the business online, you get to a point where now you're starting to receive passive income, maybe from different sources, and you might make 6 figures realistically in less than a year, in less than 90 days, in less than 100 days. That's a realistic fact in this business as of October 2016. Now, maybe next year it might be a little bit more flooded. I doubt it. You'd still be able to make probably more money by then, but right now that's a reality. And you could get a little comfortable. I mean, you could get comfortable making 300 grand a year. I remember I was comfortable making a very comfortable living as a realtor. Be like, oh, I'm used to selling 100 homes a year. That I would tell my brain, okay, since I sell 100 homes a year, I'm going to roughly be around that. So I've only been in the business for 3 years. First year I sold 100. Second year I sold 120. The third year I thought I was going to go a lot bigger, but I ended up selling 95. And I'm like, what happened there? You know, what was the difference there? Like, why couldn't I keep going? And it's because I was just so used to only closing these many houses per month. I was just so used to only getting these many listing appointments, or I just wasn't open to new things. So talk about people who are successful now, who are like, you know what, these guys are good, but this isn't for me. I'm already successful. I'm already established. If you're listening to us right now, I know that you want more. I know that you would not sit through this presentation if you didn't want more from your life and your lifestyle. And how can you serve somebody like that, Dee? What would you tell that person?
I love, love, love that. And I think the key word here is more. As entrepreneurs, or even just as humans, wherever we are in the world, is that we're always going to want more. And it's not to say that you're not going to be grateful for what it is that you have right now, but the things that you have right now has to be the tool, and it has to be the resource that's going to prepare you from receiving more, right? And you know, I know for me, before I was like, oh, I'm like cool and comfortable making consistent 4 to 5 figures a month. Like, that's good. I could live off of that. It's fine, right? But as you continue to move forward in your business, I want you to understand this. What you envision your business to be today is not necessarily going to be the same thing 3, 6, 9 months from now. It's always going to change, and it's always going to evolve. So with that evolving factor, there's so many things to add on to that. There's so many higher aspirations and goals that you want to hit. So living in conformity and living comfortable, that's not why you got into business in the first place, because every single thing that you're doing every single day is going to make you uncomfortable. And I'm just going to tell you, business doesn't get easier. It doesn't. It doesn't get any easier. You just get better at it. Right? You get better at it, and you get better at it by being consistent, by showing up every day, by talking to people that really understand and speak your language, and from learning from them, because I know that I learn from Frank every single day, right? I'm learning from him. I'm inspired by him, and being around that environment, it makes those other people accountable. So when you need people, when you need that accountability, you have to find people that are on that same frequency and that same wavelength as you. Because I know that if I drop the ball in anything, I'm going to be like, listen, Frank, this is what I'm doing. He's going to be like, no, Diana, let's fire it out. Let's do this, and vice versa. So it's absolutely important that you don't go through this entrepreneurial journey alone. You have to find people that you trust, that you know that can get you there as well, and hold each other accountable. Accountability is massive.
I love how you brought that up. I want to break this down to a little bro science. So everybody knows I'm a fan of bro science. And when it comes to human beings, just naturally the way that we're hardwired, if you are comparing yourself, you know how they say you are your 5 most closest people. If you do that, the reason people say that scientifically, or at least bro science, is back in the day when we were being chased by saber-toothed tigers and T-Rex, if you were the slowest human in the tribe, guess what? You'd get eaten. You were weak. You would die. If you were the leader of the tribe, human beings, our nature is to plot to overtake that leadership, and you now had a target on your back. So to keep yourself alive or to survive, your body wants you to do just in that little section right there where you're not doing too good and you're not doing too bad.
Wow.
You're just naturally put there. Now, you know, bringing it here to relevant age, like you can decide if you want to watch Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton debate for 5 hours, or you can decide if you want to listen to Grant Cardone's webinar or listen to our webinar with me and Diana Mae Fernandez, or maybe even create your own content, or watch Netflix or watch a documentary, whatever you want to do. You can consume, decide what you consume. And if you decide what you consume, why not either surround yourself with people that can keep you in that higher performing pack, or if you don't have those people in your life, guess what? Now you have access to people like me, Diana Mae Fernandez, Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk, Chalene Johnson, all these influencers who have put their message out there, and now you can slowly pick up from them. Because I know personally that if you don't surround yourself by positive people, or people who even think, who even can fathom what you're trying to do, it just won't work out, because their beliefs, I don't care who you are, I don't care how strong you are, no matter what, subconsciously their beliefs will naturally hit your brain, and you're going to have to wake up in a battle every single day to protect your mind from their limiting beliefs. So Dee, talk to us about a little bit more about the people that are not only around you, but the people that are holding you, the key word you said is accountable. Talk about the importance of that.
Yes. So the first thing that I'm going to address is, it's important, you know, Frank and I aren't saying, oh my gosh, you know, these people that are terrible around us that have been with us for all these years, we're just going to ignore them. No, you can love them from afar. right? You can still serve them from afar, and even though they don't speak your language and they may not fully understand what it is that you're doing, it's okay. Your mission in life isn't to try to convert everyone's opinion to be in alignment with yours. Your mission in life is to find people that are in agreement, that are already there, right? And so oftentimes is that we spend so much time trying to tell people that are so fixated in their limiting beliefs, no, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way. And you see there's that battle there already, versus finding people that really understand what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're trying to create, what it is that you're trying to grow and develop into. And those are the people that you want to hold accountable. Those are the people that you need in your life. And I saw this really great video the other day, Frank. I'm going to send you a link later, and I'll post it on the Talent Tribe. And it was basically, you know, him saying that you are trying to make seasonal people that were intended to be in your life for a season, you were trying to convert them into a lifetime. And people that were meant to be in your life for a lifetime, you've only kept them in for a season because you weren't able to really differentiate what this person can contribute value to, right? So again, oftentimes we have that misconstrued, that people that were only meant to be for a chapter, only meant to be for a season, we try to outstretch them for life because we just want to hold on to them so much, versus the people that are really can be the roots, right? The roots to help you grow your tree and grow your branches and grow your leaves and all of that. Those are those lifetime people. We fail to see them and we're like, oh, they can only serve us for this purpose. So it's really being able to differentiate that. Right, in all fairness, because we keep things authentic and transparent. When you and I first started hanging out, we're like, or you know, connecting online, we're like, oh, this is cool. We can like do a couple things here and there. And I remember Frank used to joke around with me. He's like, yeah, dude, you're like my fifth and sixth favorite Filipina. And I'm like, oh, who is this guy? And now look, Frank Salas is one of my best friends and one of the greatest people in my life right now. So again, it's us being able to see like, okay, this isn't a seasonal thing, this is a lifetime thing. So the more that you can find your lifetime and your deep-rooted you know, squad and tribe that can really help elevate you, those are the people that you want to connect with and nurture those relationships all the time.
Definitely. And for the record, Dee is my favorite Filipina of all time now. And that's like in less than a year. So, I mean, she's doing pretty damn good. That's like record breaking.
Oh my goodness. Do you see this guy?
So Dee, if someone is like, okay, you know what? My eyes are open. I see the different possibilities. I want to design my life and my lifestyle. And maybe that looks different for, you know, different people. Somebody like you and I are both single. We don't have any kids. You know, somebody might have 3 kids and a husband, a baby's daddy, court issues. I have a client in Canada who his dream is he wants to go to South Africa and host safaris. But the thing that's stopping him is he's a single father and he's got custody, and his baby's mama's got some drama with the Canadian court systems. And you know, he just like, that's his stop right there. And I'm just using him as an example, but there's many people who have like that one thing. Everybody has that, but I want to be great, but what do you say to that person who still has that little hanging monkey on their back? How do you get rid of that?
Right. So, and that's a really great question, because 90%, I want to say 85 to 90% of my clients are parents, right? And so having that insight and really understanding what they believe their limitations are is really such a disadvantage to them. So I understand, Frank and I really understand the practicality of things. We know that a lot of people may not be able to pack all of their stuff and throw it in a suitcase the following day and be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna leave, right? So you have to think of the practicality of your situation right now. If you are constantly telling yourself, oh, I can't do this because of X, Y, Z, oh, I can't do this because of that, you've already lost. I have a really amazing client out in Australia, and she's like, look, I really wanted to run the New York City Marathon, but I had a 14-year-old daughter. Do you want to know what she did? She went to her daughter's principal, all of her teachers, right? She went to all of her teachers and she said, listen, this is what I really want to do. I want to take my daughter to New York City for 2 months, And I want to prepare for the New York Marathon because this has always been a big dream of mine. I always wanted to do that. That was something, and you know, she's already like in her 50s, but she's like, I've been putting it off and I've been putting it off, and that's my one biggest regret. So she spoke to the principal, the VP, she spoke with the teachers individually, took them out, went to the school with lunch and everything, and they were like, yeah, of course, we support that. We 100% support that. So what ended up happening is that my client's daughter and her teachers, they all were like, okay, for the next 2 months, you're going to be homeschooled by your mother, right? And we're going to give you all of these things, and you're going to submit all of these homeworks. You're going to be self-taught, and now you're going to provide us all these homework assignments online. So what happened as an entrepreneur is that she found windows of opportunity. So you can't limit yourself and saying, okay, because I've hit a wall, that's it, I'm just hitting this wall. No, guess what? You can turn, you can go backwards, you can dip, you can jump over the wall, you can break the wall. There's so many opportunities for you to see that challenge and really, really turn that into massive success. So, you know, it's just putting that pressure and saying, oh, it's because I have kids. That's not fair to you, and that's not fair to your kids as well, because your kids want, the message that you want to show your kids is that it's possible to do anything. It's 100% possible to do anything. And that starts with your example, right? That starts 100% with your example. And I've seen so many creative ways of people making their dreams happen while having kids and running a household and being married. And I give people so much credit to that. So don't allow yourself to think that just because I have kids, because your kids aren't a baggage, your kids are an enhancement to your life. So enhance their lives by doing exactly what it is that you want to do. Practicality.
I absolutely love that answer. We're going to wrap up here, Dee. You've done a great job in serving the tribe, Talent Tribe, as you always do. Dee, if someone has been like, yo, this girl Dee is amazing, where can I find out more about her? Where can we get that information?
I love that. Thank you. So again, my name is Diana May Fernandez. You guys can call me Dee. I'm the founder of a Dolls Mastermind. So Dolls Mastermind, DOLLS. MASTERMIND, Dolls Mastermind, all over on social media. And the really cool thing is that I'm heavily active on Snapchat, and I show you guys behind the scenes as to what it is that I do on my day. And Dolls Mastermind is officially open to both women and men because we can serve them both equally. So Facebook group, a Dolls Mastermind, and everywhere else on social media. And wherever you see Frank Salas on social media, I'll be there too.
Yeah, for sure. Dee is someone that helps me serve the tribe on a regular basis, and you definitely want to be in her inner circle. Her Dolls Masterminds was only for females for a very long time, and now she's opened up to the gentlemen. And now we call it the Ken.
Inspired by you.
What was that?
Inspired by you, by the way.
Oh, I appreciate that. You know, so we call them the Kens and Tens. Is what we call them. So at least that's what I do when I post in there. And it's a really active Facebook group, and you have to be around other people that are just positive. And what I love about Facebook groups, like if you're listening to this, you're probably in the Talent Tribe. What I love about Facebook groups is you can join a lot of them. Cool. I like to join a bunch of quality ones, and not even a bunch, like 3 or 4, not many.
Yeah,
just be very active in there, because the right ones will get you JV partners. They'll get you podcast interviews. They'll be able to write about you for their blogs. And you'd be able to write about them in your blogs. So this is something that really opens up a lot of doors in being in there. So definitely connect in there. And also, if you guys are listening to this, Diana and I have a audio training that we're actually going to gift you. So you can just go in there and you can download it. It's an hour's worth of training. Dee's going to talk about designing your lifestyle. I'm going to talk about designing lifestyle as well, but I'm going to talk about passive income when it comes to real estate and Airbnb, earning money on social media. Just really talk about the financing of how to get that set up. And I'll even break down how I sold my car and how I live off of Uber and Airbnb to finance my lifestyle and just literally live wherever I want in the world. If that's interesting to you, definitely go and check that link out. You'll get a link to that, or it should be below the video wherever you're watching this. And just remember that a lot of stuff that we talk about is great stuff, and we definitely want to inspire you and motivate you. We hope you took notes, but we most importantly hope you took action. If you take action, I promise you your life would change. The stuff that we're talking about has helped us out recently in less than a year, and we're just sharing with you on our journey because that's just in our nature. We're people who lift others up as we climb. We don't have to be at the top of the mountain. We want to make sure we take as many people with us as we can, and then leave a bridge, leave a road, leave a rope, just leave a way for people to go up there and elevate themselves if they put the work in. We can't climb for you. We can just show you the way. So Dee, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here, and go follow her at Dolls Mastermind.
Thank you so much, Frank. I appreciate you. I adore you. I love you. And I'm always at your corner. Thanks, guys. Mwah.